and welcome to Strange Talk with Doc. Listen, happy 4th of July to you and yours. It ain't your typical 4th of July, and it hasn't been for quite a while. I'm going to say it hasn't been since 2016, your typical all-American 4th of July. But I hope that you remain safe, that you have a good time, that your traffic is minimal, that if you're flying, that you get in and out of where you're going safely, that your flights aren't canceled. I hope that the food is good, the cookout meat is good. You know what I'm saying, the weather. I want it to be a lovely day for you and yours if you celebrate this. But we're going to get to the gist of the show, and there's a lot to talk about, so I'm going to keep it moving. And it's basically your dick cannot rule you. Your penis cannot make the rules for your whole entire body. Let's be honest. Anywhere from 3 to 11 inches should not rule a creature who is over 60 inches tall. It's a very minimal amount of space on a human body. It takes not a lot of intelligence. Sometimes it works on its own. It gets hard for no reason in inappropriate places. Gentlemen, you know exactly what the fuck I'm talking about here. You could be just sitting on a bus and for some reason you're not even thinking about nothing. Your stop is next and this motherfucker is working. And you don't want it to be working. And the reason I even brought this up is, there were some people this week who definitely, their penises got them in trouble. It's not just their penis, it's also a sickness associated with their penis, but they let the penis become the master and the mind becomes the follower of the master. You have to be in control of your being, your whole being. If you're a father, your daughter is not hot. She can never be hot in your eyes. You cannot be inappropriate with cousins and aunties and neighbors. If you're married, be loyal to your mate. If you are dating, it's all right to be loyal to the person you're dating with. It's a brief moment in time. I know that you make love for 2 hours. You're a special human being. But most people, 10, 15 minutes out of their life, a quick thrill, and they get in all kinds of trouble. And with the new rules from the Supreme Court as far as abortions, you have to be very careful of your penis. And you know what? HIV and AIDS should have taught us this lesson. STDs should have been taught us this lesson. But men are still being ruled. I mean, they're going out and they're murdering women in the streets, walking with their children in strollers. And it's because their penis is overruling the mental capacity of their minds. RKelly has been sentenced to 30 years in prison because his penis and his depravity has led him there. Giselle Maxwell has been sentenced to 20 years in prison for her role in those Jeffrey Epstein crimes because she allowed his penis to become her master. We have this NBA player who allegedly from the Charlotte Hornet beats his woman. This is a week after posting about some lean online. He beats her. I mean, it's also, you know what? The size of my penis rules my mind. It makes me go crazy. Don't forget we have Deshaun Watson on basically NFL trial right now because of the shit that he did that involved his penis. And it goes on and on. We got Vince McMahon being accused of rapes in 1982 by the first female referee in his company, this Rita Chatterton. So it's an over and over situation. It never seems to go away since the beginning of time. Men have committed incest against family members because of their penis. And I know it's not just the penis. It's the mental. You have to make the connection between what your penis will and will not make you do. You get it? What is the link between what it will make you do and the control that you have over your loins, the control you have over your mental capacity to say right from wrong, and I'm not led by this member. I'm not led. I'm not guided up the block. I'm not stalking nobody. I'm not going places where I told I don't belong because I'm excited. It sexually excites me. Penis is just a euphemism in this analogy for what turns you on. And you have to control it. It has to be consenting adults, legal consenting adults who decide to come together for whatever reason in some kind of sexual manner. It can't be one-sided. If it's one-sided, you're automatically wrong. You are violating another human being's rights, another human being's space, another human being's well-being. And we cannot allow this. We need to shame people who live according to these rules. We need to get the people out there and say, you know what, you're not an animal. Stop acting on animal instinct alone. Please use some intellect. Find out who rules you. And when you find out who rules you, you can master the ruler. You can become the dominant force within your own being. That goes for anything. That goes for alcohol. That goes for drugs. That goes for being physically abusive. You have to be able to control the members of your body with the strongest member of your body, which is your brain, your mind, your intellect, your intelligence. That has to be the dominant force. And anything else that should come close second is your spiritual force. And your spiritual force will never tell you to do the wrong thing. It will guide you down the right path. It will guide you towards being a better human being. And right now, humanity is fucked up. We need to become more human than human. We need to become more human than human. We need to each individual look in the mirror and say to themselves, what kind of human being am I going to be today? Am I going to give people the best of me, the worst of me, the lowest that I can possibly go of me? I mean, it's a joint decision that should be made by all individuals. And I just wanted to get that point across because each and every show, I like to start off with something that makes sense, some matter. If I have nothing to talk about, there's no need in the Strange Talk with Doc. It's a waste of your time. It's a waste of my time. And I refuse to waste your time. And I damn sure refuse to waste my time because it's all valuable. So in San Antonio, this abandoned trailer, death toll is up to like 53 people. And I'm going to say rest in peace to these people. I don't know what was going on in their lives that they thought coming to this country, maybe not speaking this country's language, hoping for a better life. They must have left pure hell to go through this journey. And it ended up tragically. And if there is a God in heaven, I hope that he gives them peace, the peace that they could not find here on this earth. I hope he grants them the peace in the afterlife. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Marlon Briscoe, who was the very first starting black quarterback in the AFL, who had to then switch over. He only was allowed to be a quarterback in the AFL for the Denver Broncos one season, if I'm not mistaken. And then they made him switch over to wide receiver. But he did get to play and win 2 Super Bowls. He is in the College Hall of Fame. He actually made the Pro Bowl in 1970. He passed away. I'm sorry. I forget what his age, but he passed away, and I think he was about 74 or something like that. But, I mean, for those of you who don't know, this is like a Black History moment. This was the very first starting black quarterback in the AFL. I believe at this time the AFL was getting ready to integrate into the NFL, and the Denver Broncos was the team that he played for. Hell's Angels founder Sonny Barger, he died at the age of 83 years old. I don't really say rest in peace to him. The Hell's Angels have brought a lot of havoc, destruction, terror, and mayhem to communities that they've been in. I'm a New Yorker, and believe it or not, there was a Hell's Angel chapter on like St. Mark's, and I believe it was A and B, and that was like a block New Yorkers really couldn't walk down in peace because you never knew how they were going to react. The group seemed to be racist. I'd never seen a black Hell's Angel. So I'm just giving the information that this man is dead at the age of 83. Joe Tunkel, he's an actor. He was in The Shining. He was also in a Harrison Ford Blade Runner and a lot of other bit parts. He died at the age of 94. We've already spoke about the 4th of July. Tomorrow we're gonna have Nathan's Frank eating contest from Coney Island. I always watch that. Joey Chestnut scarfs down Frank's like a savage, but it's fun to watch. The women eat too many. It's an interesting 1 hour out of my life. I look forward to it every year. Now, Ketanji Brown Jackson was sworn in as the first Black female Supreme Court justice this week also. And I watched Kendrick Lamar's performance, and this mocking of a religion makes no fucking sense to me. You don't have to believe in Jesus. You don't have to believe in Muhammad, Buddha, Vishnu, or whatever it is. But the right to sit back and mock them makes no sense. Is he mocking Muhammad? No, because it's dangerous. You can mock Jesus because there is no repercussions. As long as people, only thing they could do is say, fuck you, but they're not going to kill you for mocking Jesus. I mean, who is he to walk around with a crown of thorns, diamond thorns, which is almost everything anti what Christianity is about? Jesus, if you believe in him, he was a man who had little to no means. He could own everything, but he chose poverty. And so you mock him with a Tiffany crown of thorn with 8,000 diamonds in it. You bleed on stage out of this as though he's given so much. He's given words. He's given feelings. He's given thoughts. I'm not going to shortchange what Kendrick has given to people, but he is not given so much to the world that he's at the level where his sacrifices equals a deity. And for that, I say shame on you, Kendrick. And even though I liked your last album, shame on you for doing what you're doing, because you're making a mockery out of something that you should be leaving the fuck alone. If you don't believe in it, just leave it alone. You don't have to just say it's not my deal. If somebody asks you, or you could even say, you know what, it's really none of your fucking business how I feel about any religious iconography. We spoke about Giselle. We spoke about RKelly. And RKelly is going to have to spend 30 years of his life. This dude had the life, people. He had the life. He was revered. He was going to be probably in the Hall of Fame. He was going to have a star on a Walk of Fame. Not that anything like that matters. But you know what? In his hometown, he would have had a street named after him. If he didn't have a street named after him, he could have lived a good life off his royalties. He could have been on these shows. But he had such a sickness that it led him to do depraved things to young women. And he kept doing it. Even though he was called out on it, he couldn't even help himself or go to get the help that he needed to stop this nonsense. I always say to men who like younger women, there are legal age women who just happen to look like younger women. Why wouldn't you choose them? They're legal. There are 25-year-olds who look like 17-year-olds, and you will get in not a drop of trouble, no matter where you bring her, because she could pull out that ID or birth certificate that proves that she's of legal age. You know what? Like I said, your dick cannot rule you. The Brittany Griner Russian trial began. They said that this is going to take quite a while because, first of all, in Russia, there's no presumption of innocence. So it's guilty before proven innocent. So you have to prove your innocence, and that takes quite a bit. You get to present evidence 4 times before the prosecutor even speaks. So this is going to be like a 6-month thing, and I feel bad for Brittany. I especially if she done nothing wrong. I was not there, and I don't know what 0.07 grams of hashish oil is. I don't know if that's like enough to fill up your pinky finger first digit or your thumb first digit. I have no idea. I don't use drugs, and I damn sure don't take no hashish oil, so I don't really know about it. I finished up Menudo's Forever Young. There seemed to have been a lot of sickness going on with this group Menudo. It seemed like a lot of people knew about this sickness, but because the money was rolling in at one time, everybody turned a blind eye, especially Christina on her talk show. She turned a blind eye. Now, after watching this 4-part documentary, the thing that confuses me the most is how did they become as big as they were? They were not super talented kids. They were horrible dancers. They dressed bad. maybe it was the time, maybe it was the fact that young Puerto Ricans wanted to see somebody who looked like them. It seemed like they were just as big in Venezuela as they were anywhere else in the world. So we can't just say that Puerto Rico. I mean, at one time they had international success, but a lot of the guys turned out to be flamboyantly gay older gentlemen now. So you know what? Maybe their first sexual experience was men, and from there it turned them out. I don't know, but it's a sad situation. The Ultimate Fighter is now in this I would call finale or semi quarterfinals. The last match was a pretty good match. This dude got destroyed. Always, when you watch this show, take in mind the guy who talks the most shit or the woman who talks the most shit is going to be the one who's going to get their ass kicked. I think that the producers like writing it up that way because so far this has not failed this season. And finally, somebody got kind of just handled. There's a documentary out there called Farmer Bro. You remember Farmer Bro? This is Martin Schenkel, the dude who brought Wu-Tang's album for like $4 to $7 million and raised the price of the HIV medicine and went to prison for it. But there's a documentary out there. I can't wait to get my hands on it, but it hasn't been released yet. Now I'm going to get into that. The Boys TV show is reaching its climax. Next week is the finale. Episode 7 was a great episode. We found out some things about Homelander and Soldier Boy that we had no clue of. Kamiko decided to go back on the juice. We also found out that taking the V in small doses or the semi-permanent doses can kill you if you take too many of them. We also got the backstory on Butcher as a child and what happened to him and his brother. So it was a very good episode. There's a new episode of Flatbush Misdemeanors out there. The Shy is still dealing with relationship issues, kind of a weird thing. I think this last episode, a lot of women should look at this, especially young black women who do trifling shit like allow other men to become fathers to children that they had with men who are still around. You can't confuse a child by he has a natural daddy who's in his life, and you start fucking a new dude, and all of a sudden that guy becomes the daddy of your child when the dad's still around, and you're going to think that that's not going to cause conflict. So I'm kind of glad that the Shy dealt with that issue. So Kevin Durant requests a trade. This is the day after KyrieIrving re-ups with the Nets. Now, the way I look at this is Kevin Durant wanted to stick it in Kyrie's ass. This was a fuck you to KyrieIrving. This was a big old fuck you, KyrieIrving, because Kevin Durant could have did this a week ago, but he wanted to make sure that KyrieIrving was going to suffer in Brooklyn or have to be traded somewhere that he didn't want to be. This was a beta male move. Kevin Durant makes a lot of beta male moves. He is not an A personality. Nobody could ever convince me of that. He is not a leader type dude. Kyrie is a fucked up character, but Kyrie is a character. Everything that Kyrie does, I think is something that he thinks about. He calculates. He goes through, and in his head, he convinces himself that he's right. He's a great basketball player. We all know that. So I don't even really have to mention that. He's a champion. I thought he gave less than he could have when he was at Duke because he barely played that freshman season. But it's a weird thing with Kyrie. But Kevin Durant should have stayed in Golden State. He should have remained in Golden State. He should have never let nobody get in his ear. If he would have stayed in Golden State, even with Klay Thompson being injured for that year or so, they might have been going on their 4th championship now and heading into trying to be winning their 5th together instead of him starting over, because I don't see Kevin Durant. Okay, he's pushing that he wants to go to Miami, but he's trying to make demands on that team that they have to keep all their core pieces. How are they going to keep all the core pieces and bring Kevin Durant over if they don't have the money to do so? I just don't understand. I don't understand his thinking. I'm not going to try to. Maybe Kevin Durant is just such a nice guy that he can't be that beta male who speaks up. And you know, a guy like Jimmy Butler could be his voice, and that's what he wants. And I can appreciate that because there's some people like that on this planet. But you can't be like that and be the good guy. See, just because you're the quiet guy don't make you the good guy. It could make you the sneaky guy. And this was a bullshit thing that he did. I don't want to hear about Irving and Durant being such brothers because I also do respect the fact that brothers can love each other from two different parts of the globe. They could be tight as hell from two different parts of the globe. And when they in the same room together, they want to kill each other. That's understandable. But to give Kyrie a big fuck you like this, to announce this, not say, let me wait till the weekend goes and I'll drop this news. He dropped this news the very next day. It's like as soon as he knew that that document was legally signed by Kyrie, he said, okay, here you go, motherfucker. Bang. So the UFC is going to have their championship game today. See, I'm actually doing this show on Sunday. I usually do it on Monday, so I would have had the results, but I can't. The championship game is going to, and this is the inaugural championship game. It's going to be between the Birmingham Stallions and the Philadelphia Stars. I did not watch a lot of UFC. Watching the games and seeing the empty crowds was a real big turnoff. I hope next year that these people all have their own homes. They have to travel like any other professional athlete to another person's city, and maybe they'll get some fan support. Maybe the people in Philadelphia or the people in Birmingham would have liked to seen these teams play somebody. But you got to give them a chance. The UFC had a big card. They had their International Fight Weekend in Vegas this weekend. And Israel Alessandra fought Jared Cannonier. Alessandra beat Cannonier, went to decision. Cannonier, I do not understand the fact that he was non-aggressive in this fight. It made no fucking sense that he was non-aggressive in this fight. Alessandra is a counterpuncher, so you know he's going to wait for you to throw before he throws. But Israel Alessandra, I really wanted him to lose this fight because he is starting to bore me. He is starting to seriously bore me. The best thing about him was his entrance to The Undertaker's music and The Undertaker's hat with the urn saying Cannonier on it. But other than that, he's a bore fest to me. Alexander Bogalowski beat Max Holloway in their third fight. This also went to decision. Sean Strickland got knocked out by Alex Pereira. And Pedro Munoz fought Sean O'Malley, but this ended in a DQ because O'Malley poked him in the eye. Now, a lot of people are calling bullshit on Pedro, but I'm never going to tell somebody what their pain is. Pedro's pain, I cannot measure it because I'm not inside his body, so I have no problem with it. And Jim Miller did us all a favor by not only submitting, but retiring Donald Cowboy Cerrone. It is time for Cerrone to go. It's been time for Cerrone to go. Uriah Hall lost to Andre Muniz, and Jessica I lost to Marcy Barber. All in all, was it the outstanding card that I thought it was going to be? There was an arm breakage also in the first fight. A young lady broke another young lady's arm, and she did it in devastating fashion in like 42 seconds. No, there was a lot of boredom in some of these bouts. They went on too long. There was too many decisions. I thought this was going to be a barn burner. Sometimes it's the cards that don't have the names that are the barn burners. And this happens to not be one of them. So next week, we got UFC Fight Night. It's going to be Brian Ortega. He's fighting Yasier Rodriguez. That should be good. Michelle the Karate Hottie Waterson is fighting Amanda Lemus. And Li Jing Lee is fighting Muslim Salkovich. Shane Burgess is fighting Charles Jourdain. And Lauren Murphy is finally going to fight Misha Tate. So on paper, that should be a good bout. But paper doesn't always add up to everything. Now, you also had the Money in the Bank. Bobby Lashley fought Theory for the championship. Bobby Lashley won the United States title. It made sense to me. It made a lot of sense. Bobby looked good. They actually didn't look horrible with each other. Bobby did some fantastic strongman moves in this match. He looked like a monster. So I thought it was great. Then we went on to the women's Money in the Bank match. You had Lacey Evans, Alexa Bliss, Liv Morgan, Roger, Raquel Rodriguez, and Oscar and Shadi, and also Becky Lynch. Liv Morgan won this match. It was a crowd pleaser. The crowd popped. All the women gave it their all. There was a lot of big moments in this match. They used the ladder very well. I enjoyed this match. Rodriguez was a beast, but they did the right thing by letting Liv Morgan win this match. You had Ronda Rousey. No. Then you had the Street Profits go up against the Usos. This was one of the best matches that I ever seen. They could do the Usos versus the Street Profits forever. Did I want the Street Profits to win? Yes, but did I think they would? No. And at the end, they did the old replay where you see that Montez Ford's shoulder was never even down for the count. So this is probably setting up a SummerSlam rematch. But it was entertaining. Even though Montez has gotten a lot bigger, he has not lost any athleticism. He's flying around like a lunatic like he always does. D'Angelo Dawkins is looking better. He looked like he's slimming down. I don't want the WWE to split up the Street Profits at all. I think that they would be a fantastic tag team champions, and they were before. They're entertaining. They're good talkers. They're good-looking guys. They got everything that you need in professional wrestling. And on top of it, they're skilled performers at what they do. I like to personally thank each and every person who participated, putting their bodies on the line, showing that their craft is at a very high level and they take pride in themselves as professionals. This was no two people just standing in the ring and the crowd screaming, "This is awesome." If it wasn't awesome, they didn't scream it. AEW could have learned a lot from what happened at Money in the Bank. Then we had Ronda Rousey versus Natalya for the women's SmackDown championship. This was an entertaining match. Was it an A? No. It was a C+ match. You know, there's so much you're going to get from Natalya. They called each other bitch a lot. But they did have an entertaining match. Ronda Rousey sold a knee injury, which Liv Morgan then capitalized on by cashing in her Money in the Bank. And so Liv beat her with a roll-up, and she is now the SmackDown's Women's Champion. And it seemed to set the crowd off. The crowd was into it. The crowd was hyped. They loved it. And what they did is they popped for Liv. Liv's earned this. You know, the fans were screaming she deserves it at the end. So that made everybody supremely happy. You had the men's Money in the Bank match. You had Seth freaking Rollins, Sheamus, Drew McIntyre, Omos, Sami Zayn, Riddle, and Madcap Moss. And before the match started, Pierce came out there and announced that Theory, who had lost his U.S. title previously, would be now added to the match. Everybody and their mama who was watching and everybody and their mama who was in that crowd knew then that Theory was going to indeed win the Money in the Bank match, which made no sense because let's jump to the end. The fans wasn't very happy about this. It seems like they're force-feeding Theory down our throat like they did with Roman, like they did with Cena. Now, in the long run, will it turn out? Maybe. But does Theory have the same talent that Randy Orton had or Cena had or even Batista had when they were giving these massive push? No, he does not. He's not connecting. He doesn't connect with everybody. He doesn't connect with me. I'm hoping that he works better on his mic skills. I hope that he works a little bit better in his ring skills. He's not what you call a flyer or anything like that. I don't know if he could do any rope work. He seems to try to do that flip in the ring, jump up, drop kick over and over again. That seems to be like one of his standards. And on top of it, Theory hid for 90% of the match, came in at the very last second. And this is after these guys like Rollins, Drew almost looked fantastic, man. He was looking like a monster, and then he took this slam into the table after getting his head stomped on by Rollins. And this was one of those old Shield moves. You remember when the Shield, Dean, Roman, and Seth would pick you up and kind of like crucify, slam you? Well, all these men did it because Omos is so damn big. But Sami Zayn was fantastic. Madcap Moss, I thought, was going to kill Zayn when he gave him like a suplex into the ladder. As a matter of fact, those women worked that damn ladder. That ladder was involved in that match. Alexa Bliss actually looked really good. Lacey Evans looked out of place. Out of everybody that was in that match, Lacey Evans was the most out of place. Shotzi fit in well. She had some good moments. She should be very proud of herself. But this was a very entertaining Money in the Bank match. I would say that if you have not seen it, you do yourself a favor. Riddle did some great moves. I mean, Riddle did a backward sunset flip off the top of the ladder. That was nice. He did a RKO off the ladder. There was a couple of times where I thought guys were actually like really messed up in the ring, but you know, these dudes know how to take care of themselves. These women and these men know how to take care of each other. And it was fantastic. I think this was one of the better pay-per-views that I've seen by WWE in a long time. Maybe the pressure of another company being out there and they want to show them how it's really done. And there wasn't really a drop of blood. Bobby Lashley bled from his mouth. That's just something that happens. You get a busted lip. But there was no blading. There was no forehead bleeding. It was none of that. Especially within, AEW goes cheaply. They give you the blood in 6 seconds. As soon as you walk in the ring, it's like old ECW. Somebody's bleeding by the time they walk down the locker room. It makes no sense. But I appreciate the WWE for what they did. It hurt my heart to find out that Triple H and Vince McMahon was not even at Money in the Bank, but instead they were across the street at the UFC's pay-per-view, which makes no fucking sense. Vince should have had his ass there, and Triple H should have had their ass there to congratulate these men and women on putting on a damn fine show. So overall, Money in the Bank, I'm going to give that an A, an A-. I didn't really see anything about the show that I could say this was bad. I mean, the least favorite match of mine in the whole night would have had to have been Rousey versus Natalya, but that was saved when Liv Morgan cashed in her Money in the Bank, so that bumped that up. There really was no down moments. And I'm telling you, that Usos versus Street Profits is one of the best matches I've ever seen, and it almost went 45 minutes. I mean, and it never bored you. They never bored you. It was one thing after another. Those two teams worked so well together, man. It was a beautiful thing. Now I hope you just have yourself a great and wonderful week, that you stay blessed, that you be smart, that you do the right things by people, and hopefully the right things will be returned unto you, and that you have no issues, no problems with the law, your family, your employment, your housing situation. I had some car issues this week. Matter of fact, it's going to cost me like damn near $2,000 to get everything fixed on my car. But you know what? That is life. Sometimes we have to do that. It's better to have brakes that work than brakes that don't work, right? So I'm going to tell you, like I tell you each and every time, people, peace to you and peace to yours.